June never liked the city. He liked the quiet of the forest, where he had lived alone for the past 3 years. His small wooden cabin sat on the edge of a vast forest, far from the nearest town. Here, he could forget his past and focus on his work as a forest technician. Tonight was like any other night. June sat on his porch, a cup of hot tea in his hands. The stars shone brightly in the clear sky. He knew them well now, having spent countless nights looking up at them. Suddenly, a bright flash of light streaked across the night sky. June stood up quickly, spilling his tea. It wasn't a shooting star. It was something else, something bigger. The light moved too slowly, and it was heading toward the forest. Then came the sound, a deep boom that shook the trees. Birds flew up in panic. The ground trembled under June's feet. What was that? He whispered to himself. His first thought was to go inside, lock his door, and call someone. But who? The police. They were an hour away. And what would he tell them? That he saw a light in the sky. June went inside and grabbed his flashlight, a first aid kit, and his old military jacket. He had been a medic in the Korean military before he moved to the forest. Those skills might be needed tonight. The night was cold as June walked into the woods. His flashlight cut through the darkness, showing the path ahead. The smell of burned wood and something strange, something he had never smelled before, filled the air. After 20 minutes of walking, June saw it. Trees had been knocked down, making a long path of destruction. At the end of this path was something that made his heart race. A ship, not a plane or a helicopter. Something else, something that should not exist. It was small, about the size of a car, and shaped like an egg. Its surface gleamed with a metal June had never seen before. Parts of it were still on fire, but the flames were blue and green instead of red and orange. June approached slowly, his hands shaking. The ship had a crack along one side. Through this crack, June could see movement inside. "Hello," he called out, his voice barely a whisper. No answer came. Taking a deep breath, June moved closer to the crack. He pointed his flashlight inside. What he saw made him step back in shock. A girl. At least she looked like a girl, but she wasn't human. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to shine like it had tiny stars under it. Her hair was white as snow and flowed like water. Her eyes, now opening to look at June, were large and completely black. She was hurt. Blue liquid, blood, covered her side where a piece of metal had cut her. Her breathing was fast and shallow. The girl's eyes met June's. She reached out a slender hand toward him. Then something impossible happened. Words formed in June's mind. Not in Korean or English, but somehow he understood them. "Please," the voice in his head said. "Help me. Don't let me die here." June stood frozen. This was not possible. This could not be real. Yet the girl's eyes pleaded with him. Her hand remained outstretched, trembling with effort. In that moment, June faced a choice that would change everything. Not just for him, but for all of humanity. He could turn around, go back to his cabin, and pretend he never saw this, or he could help this alien girl who had fallen from the stars. June took off his jacket and carefully moved toward the injured alien. His training as a medic took over. Wound, bleeding, shock. These were things he understood, human or not. "I'll help you," he said, not knowing if she could understand his words as he had understood hers. "I won't let you die." As June gently lifted her from the wrecked ship, the stars continued to shine above them, witnesses to a moment that would mark the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could imagine. June's cabin was warm compared to the cold night outside. He had laid the alien girl on his bed and now stood looking at her, still not sure if this was real. The blue blood had soaked through his jacket. Her breathing was getting weaker. June knew he had to do something fast, or she would die. He could call for help. The nearest hospital was 2 hours away. But what would they do with her? She wasn't human. They might take her away, lock her up, Or worse. I can do this, Jun said to himself. His hands remembered his training from years ago. I have to try. Jun gathered clean towels, hot water, and his medical kit. The wound on her side was deep. The piece of metal was still inside. It had to come out. As Jun touched her skin, the girl's eyes opened again. They were like looking into the night sky, deep, black, and full of stars. I'm going to help you, Jun said slowly, but this will hurt. Words formed in his mind again. My name is Nara. Thank you. Jun nodded and began to work. He carefully cleaned around the wound. The blue blood was thick and shiny. He took a deep breath and slowly removed the metal piece. Nara made no sound, but Jun felt her pain in his own mind. It was strange, like they were connected somehow. The wound started bleeding more once the metal was out. Jun worked quickly to stop it. He cleaned the cut and put medicine on it from his kit. Then he wrapped it with clean bandages. Water, came Nara's voice in his head. I need water. Jun brought a glass of water and helped her drink. Her hand touched his as she took the glass. It was cool and smooth, like touching silk. Why are you helping me? Nara asked in his mind. Your kind usually fears what they don't understand. Jun thought about this. Why was he helping her? Most people would have run away or called the authorities, but not him. I was a medic in the military, Jun said. I took an oath to help those who are hurt. It doesn't matter who they are. Nara seemed to accept this. Her eyes closed as she rested. While she slept, Jun sat by the window, thinking. He should tell someone about this. But who? The government would take her away. Scientists would want to study her. Both choices seemed wrong. No, he decided. He would keep her safe until she was better. Then she could decide what to do next. Hours passed. Outside, the sun began to rise. Jun checked on Nara again. Her breathing was stronger now. The bandage was still clean. Good signs. Suddenly, Nara's eyes opened wide. It will come looking for me, her voice said in Jun's mind. My ship sent out a signal when it crashed. Who will come? Jun asked, suddenly alert. My people, I hope, she said. But others might come first. Those who shot down my ship. Jun looked out the window at the peaceful forest. Was danger coming? What had he gotten himself into? Why were you shot down? He asked. Nara tried to sit up but was too weak. Jun helped her. My people are explorers, she explained. We search for new worlds and new life. But we are hunted by others who fear what we might find or share. And now they might come to Earth, Jun asked, feeling a chill. Nara nodded. I'm sorry to bring this danger to you. Jun stood up, his mind made up. Then we need to hide your ship and any sign of the crash. And we need to get you stronger. He had made his choice. There was no turning back now. Whatever came next, he would face it. Rest now, he told Nara. Tomorrow we have much to do. As Nara drifted back to sleep, Jun began to plan. His simple life had just become very complicated. But for the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose again. 3 days passed. Nara grew stronger each day. Her wound was healing faster than any humans would. Jun watched in wonder as the cut that should have taken weeks to heal was almost gone after just a few days. Early in the morning of the 4th day, Jun found Nara standing by the window. The sunrise painted the sky orange and pink. Nara's blue skin seemed to glow in the morning light. It's beautiful, she said, her words now coming through Jun's mind more clearly. My world has 3 suns. Our sunrises are bright, but not as colorful as yours. 3 suns? Jun asked. How far away is your home? Nara pointed to a spot in the sky. There, about 60 of what you call light years away. My people call our planet Iona. Jun tried to imagine it. A world with 3 suns and beings like Nara. It seemed impossible, yet here she was, standing in his cabin. That day, Jun showed Nara around the forest. She moved slowly but didn't need his help anymore. She touched trees, flowers, and rocks with gentle fingers, taking in everything with wide, curious eyes. "Your world is so full of life," she said. "So many different plants and animals living together." June smiled. "That's why I live here, away from the cities where people have forgotten how to see this beauty." As they walked back to the cabin, Nera stopped suddenly. "I need to check my ship. There's a device I need. A communicator. I must let my people know I'm alive." The next morning, they hiked to the crash site. June had covered the ship with branches and leaves, but it was still easy to find. The metal shell had cooled down and now looked like dull silver. Nera placed her hand on the ship, and part of it opened. She climbed inside and came out holding a small disc that fit in her palm. "This is broken," she said, showing June the cracked device. "But I think I can fix it with the right tools." Back at the cabin, Nera worked on the communicator while June prepared food. He had learned that she could eat most human foods, though she preferred fruits and vegetables. "Why were you alone in that ship?" June asked as they ate. "I was on a scouting mission," Nera explained. "My job is to find new worlds where life exists. We study these worlds from afar, learning about them without interfering." "Like now?" June asked with a small smile. Nera looked down. "Yes, this is not how we usually make first contact. It's against our rules to reveal ourselves this way. So I wasn't supposed to find you." "No," she admitted, "but I'm glad you did. I would have died otherwise." That night, as they sat by the fire, Nera told June about her world, about cities that floated above the ground, about ships that could travel between stars, about how her people had lived in peace for thousands of years, exploring the galaxy. In return, June told her about Earth, about its many countries and cultures, about its wars and problems, but also its beauty and kindness. "Humans are young compared to my people," Nera said, "but you have so much potential." As days turned into a week, June noticed something changing between them. When he woke up each morning, his first thought was of Nera. When she smiled at something new she discovered, he felt warm inside. They were from different worlds, different species even, yet they understood each other in ways June had never experienced with another human. One evening, as they watched the stars come out, Nera took his hand. Her touch sent a strange but pleasant tingling through his fingers. "Thank you for saving me, June," she said both in his mind and aloud, practicing the human speech she had been learning. "Your kindness is rare in this universe." June squeezed her hand gently. "I'm glad I found you." Neither of them knew that their peaceful time together was about to end. 2 weeks had passed since June found Nera. Her communicator was almost fixed. Each day, she worked on it with tools June brought from town. They had fallen into a comfortable routine, and June had almost forgotten the danger Nera had warned him about. That changed on a cool Tuesday morning. June drove into town for supplies as he did every week. The small town had only one main street with a few shops. Everyone knew everyone else. June kept to himself and people left him alone. That's how he liked it. But today was different. A black car with dark windows sat outside the general store. June had never seen it before. As he parked his old truck, 3 men in dark suits came out of the store. They didn't look like they belonged there. Their clothes were too nice, their haircuts too perfect, but it was their eyes that made June worried. Cold eyes that seemed to look through people, not at them. Inside the store, Mrs. Lee, the owner, looked upset. Those men were asking strange questions, she told June as she put his items in a bag. About lights in the sky 2 weeks ago. About anyone living alone in the forest. June's heart beat faster. "What did you tell them?" "That no one had seen anything strange," Mrs. Lee said. "But I mentioned you live out there. Was that wrong?" June tried to keep his face calm. "No, it's fine. Just some men from the city, I guess." He paid quickly and left. As he drove back to his cabin, he kept checking his mirror. No one was following him, but the worry stayed with him. When he got home, Nera was sitting on the porch. She could sense something was wrong as soon as she saw his face. "What happened?" she asked. June told her about the men in town. Nara's face grew serious. "They found me," she said quietly. "Those weren't men, June. They're the Vex. They look like whatever species they're hunting. Right now, they look human." "The ones who shot down your ship?" June asked, his mouth dry with fear. Nara nodded. "They're hunters. They track down and kill my people wherever we go." "But why?" "Because they fear what we know and what we might share," Nara said. "My people believe in sharing knowledge. The Vex believe in keeping power for themselves." June looked around the cabin that had been his home for years. "We can't stay here. They'll find us." That night, they packed only what they needed: food, water, June's medical kit, warm clothes, and Nara's almost fixed communicator. They left before sunrise, heading deeper into the mountains where few people ever went. They hiked all day, moving as fast as they could. Nara was still not at full strength, but she didn't complain. By sunset, they reached an old hunting cabin June knew about. It was small and dusty, but it would hide them for now. As June built a small fire, he realized how much danger he was in. These weren't just men looking for Nara. They were aliens who had traveled across space to hunt her down. "I'm sorry I brought this to you," Nara said, seeming to read his thoughts. June shook his head. "You didn't ask to crash here. I chose to help you." "Most humans would have run away by now," Nara said. June thought about this. Why hadn't he? He could have left Nara and saved himself, but the thought never crossed his mind. "I was a soldier once," he said. "I learned that running from a fight doesn't make the fight go away. It just means someone else has to face it." That night, as Nara slept, June sat by the window with his old hunting rifle across his lap. He didn't know if it would work against the Vex, but it made him feel better to have it. Outside, the forest was dark and silent. Somewhere out there, the hunters were looking for them, and they were getting closer. 3 days had passed since June and Nara fled to the mountain cabin. The air was colder here, and the nights were longer. They spoke in whispers, afraid that even the smallest sound might give them away. On the 4th morning, Nara's communicator finally started working. A soft blue light glowed from its center as she held it in her hands. "It's sending our location to my people," she said, "but it will take time for them to come. Maybe days, maybe weeks." June sat down beside her. "Can you tell me now the full truth about why the Vex are hunting you?" Nara was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "My people are very old, June. We have traveled the stars for thousands of years. In that time, we have learned many things: how to cure most diseases, how to make clean energy that never runs out, how to travel faster than light." June listened, trying to understand what this meant. "We share what we learn with species that are ready," Nara continued. "Species that won't use our knowledge to harm others or themselves." "And humans?" June asked. "Are we ready?" Nara looked at him with her deep black eyes. "Some of you are. Like you, June. But as a whole, not yet. You still fight wars over small differences. You still hurt your own planet." June couldn't argue with that. He had seen enough in his time as a soldier to know she was right. "The Vex don't want us sharing with anyone," Nara went on. "They take our technology by force and use it to make weapons. They have hunted my people across many star systems, killing us when they find us. And now they're here, on Earth," June said. "Yes, and that puts your world in danger." Nara's voice in his mind was sad. "If they think I shared knowledge with you or any human, they will see your whole species as a threat." June stood up and looked out the window at the forest below. He thought he could see movement far away, but it might have been animals. "Have you shared knowledge with me?" he asked. "Not the kind they fear," Nara said. "But they won't care. Just by helping me, you've put yourself in danger." June turned to face her. "Then we need to stop them." Nera shook her head. How? They have weapons far beyond your rifle, June. They can kill with a touch. But they must have a weakness, June insisted. Everything does. Nera was quiet again, thinking. There might be one thing. The Vex come from a world that changes very slowly. Their bodies don't like sudden changes in temperature or pressure. June's mind began to work. Humans have lived through ice ages and hot periods. We've climbed mountains and gone deep underwater. We've learned to adapt to changes. Yes, Nera said. Your kind is remarkably adaptive. It's one of the things my people admire about humans. As the day went on, June began to form a plan. He drew maps of the area, showing Nera where the deep caves were, where the river ran fastest, where the cliffs were steepest. If they come, we can use the land against them, he explained. Make them chase us through places where things change quickly. That night, as they sat by a small fire, Nera reached out and touched June's face. Her fingers were cool against his skin. Why are you doing all this for me? She asked. You could have given me to them and saved yourself. June thought about her question. Why was he risking his life for someone not even from his world? Because it's the right thing to do, he said simply. And because in the short time I've known you, I've seen more wonder than in all my years before. Nera smiled, and June felt that strange warmth again in his chest. Outside, snow began to fall, covering their tracks. But in the valley below, lights were moving toward the mountain. The Vex had found them. They're coming, June said, looking out the window at the lights moving up the mountain. We need to leave now. Nera grabbed her communicator and the small bag of food. June took his rifle, though he knew it might not help much against the Vex. They slipped out the back door of the cabin and into the snowy forest. The night was dark, but June knew these mountains well. He led Nera down a narrow path that was hard to see in the darkness. Where are we going? Nera asked, her mind voice tense with fear. To the caves, June replied. The temperature changes quickly there. Cold at the entrance, warm deep inside. It might slow them down. They moved as fast as they could through the snow. Behind them, they heard strange sounds, not human voices, but something else. The Vex were getting closer. After 20 minutes of running, they reached the cave entrance. It was a black hole in the side of the mountain, cold air flowing out of it like breath. Inside, June said, Stay close to me. The cave was dark and narrow. June turned on his small flashlight to show the way. The walls were wet and slippery. Water dripped from above. The air got warmer as they went deeper. How far down does this go? Nera asked. Very deep, June said. There's an underground river at the bottom. They climbed down carefully. The cave floor sloped steeply. Nera slipped once, but June caught her arm. Suddenly, a bright light shone from above them. The Vex had reached the cave entrance. Run, June shouted. They scrambled down faster, not caring about being quiet now. The light followed them, getting closer. Then June saw what he was looking for, a small side tunnel, almost hidden in the wall. This way, he said, pulling Nera into the narrow passage. The tunnel was so small they had to crawl. It went on for what seemed like forever. Finally, it opened into a large cavern. The air here was hot and damp. Steam rose from pools of water on the ground. Hot springs, June explained. The water comes from deep in the earth. It's very hot. They waded through the warm pools, heading for the other side of the cavern. Behind them, they heard the Vex entering the tunnel they had just come through. June led Nera to a high ledge overlooking the largest pool. The water bubbled and steamed below them. When they come out, we'll have to jump, he whispered. The water is hot, but not enough to burn us. But the sudden change might hurt them. Nera nodded, her eyes wide with fear and trust. They didn't have to wait long. 3 figures emerged from the tunnel. In the dim light, they looked almost human. But there was something wrong about them. Their movements were too smooth. Their eyes reflected the light like animals. The Vex looked around the cavern, then spotted June and Nera on the ledge. They raised their hands, and June saw they were holding something that looked like small silver rods. "Now," June shouted, grabbing Nera's hand. They jumped just as bright flashes of light shot from the silver rods, hitting the wall where they had been standing. The hot water splashed high as they landed in the pool. The Vex ran to the edge of the pool, but stopped. They seemed unwilling to enter the hot water. Instead, they began to walk around it, looking for another way to reach June and Nera. "It's working," Nera said. "They don't like the heat." June pulled her toward a tunnel on the far side of the pool. "This leads to the river. It's much colder there. We'll go from hot to cold quickly." As they reached the tunnel, one of the Vex decided to risk the water. It stepped in and immediately made a high, strange sound, a scream of pain. Its human-like face changed for a moment, showing something alien underneath. "They can't handle the change," Nera said. "Just like I told you." They ran through the tunnel, hearing the Vex following behind, but more slowly now. June's plan was working. The hunters were becoming the hunted. The underground river was fast and cold. June and Nera waded through it, the icy water reaching their waists. Behind them, they could hear the Vex struggling to follow. Every time the aliens touched the cold water, they made those strange screaming sounds. "Just a little further," June said, his teeth chattering from the cold. "There's a way out ahead." The tunnel opened up into a wide cavern. Moonlight shone through a hole in the ceiling. The river flowed out through a crack in the wall, too small for them to follow. "We need to climb," June said, pointing to the rough stone walls leading up to the opening above. They began to climb, their hands and clothes wet and cold. The stone was slippery, but they moved carefully. When they were halfway up, the Vex entered the cavern. There were only two of them now. The third must have been too hurt by the temperature changes to continue. The two looked up and saw June and Nera climbing. They raised their silver weapons. "Faster," June shouted. They climbed as quickly as they could. Bright flashes of energy hit the wall around them. One blast came so close that June felt its heat on his face. Just as they reached the opening, Nera's communicator began to glow brightly. A high sound came from it, like a song. "My people," Nera said, her face lighting up with hope. "They've come." They pulled themselves out of the hole and onto the mountainside. The night sky above them was clear and full of stars, but one of those stars was moving, getting bigger. The Vex climbed out after them. Their human disguises were failing now. Their skin looked patchy, showing silver metal underneath. Their eyes glowed red in the darkness. June and Nera backed away. They had nowhere else to run. The mountain dropped off steeply behind them. The Vex raised their weapons. June stepped in front of Nera, ready to protect her with his life. But before the Vex could fire, a bright blue light came down from the sky, covering the mountain in daylight. The Vex looked up, fear showing on their half-human faces. Above them, a ship unlike anything June had ever seen hung in the air. It was beautiful, made of what looked like glass and silver, shaped like a giant leaf. Beams of light shot from the ship, hitting the Vex. Instead of hurting them, the light seemed to freeze them in place. They couldn't move or fire their weapons. Then, new figures appeared on the mountainside. They looked like Nera, tall, with blue skin and white hair. There were 5 of them, wearing clothes that seemed to be made of light itself. Nera ran to them, speaking quickly in a language June couldn't understand. The newcomers looked at him with curious eyes. One of them stepped forward. Like Nera, he spoke directly into June's mind. "You saved one of our own," he said. "Few would risk themselves for a stranger, especially one not of their kind." June stood straight, not knowing what to say. "I did what anyone should do." The alien smiled. "No, you did what few would do. And you discovered a weakness in our enemy that we had not seen." Nera came back to June's side and took his hand. "This is June," she told her people. He not only saved me but figured out how to fight the Vex. Humans can adapt to changes better than most species. They are stronger than they look. The leader of Nera's people looked thoughtful. Perhaps we have underestimated humans. Perhaps some of you are ready after all. He turned to the frozen Vex. These hunters have followed us for too long. Now we will take them back to answer for their crimes. Looking back at June, he said, "You have done more than save Nera. You have shown us that humans have qualities we need. Adaptability, courage, compassion." Nera squeezed June's hand. "My people want to form an alliance with yours. Together, we might be able to stop the Vex for good." June looked at the beautiful ship hovering above them, then at Nera, then at her people. In just a few weeks, his quiet life had changed forever. Now he was standing on a mountaintop, helping to start an alliance between two worlds. "What happens now?" he asked. 3 months had passed since that night on the mountain. June sat in a large room with windows that looked out over a city. But this was not a city he had ever seen before. The buildings were tall and seemed to be made of crystal. Flying vehicles moved between them like fish in water. He was on a space station, hidden behind Earth's moon. Nera's people had built it long ago to watch Earth from a safe distance. The door opened, and Nera walked in. She wore clothes like her people now, made of a shimmering material that changed colors as she moved. But her smile was the same. "They're ready for you," she said. June stood up, straightening the new clothes they had given him. He was nervous. Today, he would meet with leaders from Earth's biggest countries. He would help them understand what was happening. "Don't worry," Nera said, taking his hand. "You'll do fine. They trust you because you're human, like them." They walked down a long hallway to a round room. In the center was a large table. Around it sat 12 humans, presidents and prime ministers from around the world. They looked as nervous as June felt. On the other side of the table were 5 of Nera's people, including their leader, who was called Talon. "June," Talon said, standing up. "Please, join us." June sat down between the two groups. He was the bridge between them, the human who had saved an alien and discovered how to fight the Vex. "We have explained the situation to your leaders," Talon said, "about the Vex, about our people, and about the alliance we wish to form." One of the human leaders, a woman with short gray hair, spoke up. "This is very hard for us to accept. Until 3 days ago, we didn't know aliens existed. Now you're asking us to join a war across the stars." June understood their fear. It was the same fear he had felt when he first found Nera. "The Vex are already here," he said simply. "They came to Earth looking for Nera. They'll come again, looking for all of us." "And what can we offer?" asked another leader, an older man. "Your people have ships that fly between stars. We've barely reached our own moon." Nera stepped forward. "You have something we need badly. Adaptability. The ability to face rapid change and survive it. My people are old and set in our ways. The Vex have used this against us. June showed us that humans can think quickly and use simple solutions to complex problems." Talon added, "This is a rare gift in the universe." The room was quiet as the human leaders thought about this. Finally, the woman with gray hair spoke again. "If we agree to this alliance, what will your people share with us?" "Medical knowledge that will cure most of your diseases," Talon said. "Clean energy that will not harm your planet, and protection from the Vex." "We will not share weapons," Nera added quickly. "Not until we know your kind is ready. But we will help you defend yourselves." The talks went on for hours. June spoke when needed, helping both sides understand each other. By the end of the day, the humans had agreed to a first step. A small group of scientists and diplomats would stay on the space station to learn from Nera's people. As the human leaders prepared to return to Earth, the woman with gray hair stopped beside June. "You've changed the course of human history," she said. "Are you sure this is the right path?" June thought about everything that had happened since he found Nera in the crashed ship. He thought about the wonder of seeing new worlds, the joy of learning new things, and the hope of a better future. Yes, he said, this is the right path. Later, June and Nera stood at a window, looking down at the blue and green planet below them. What will you do now? Nera asked. Will you go back to your cabin in the forest? June smiled. No, that life seems very small now. I want to see your world, to help build this alliance. Nera's eyes shone like stars. Then we'll go together. June took her hand, thinking about how one small choice, to help a dying alien girl, had changed everything. Not just for him, but for all of humanity. Behind them, the doors opened as humans and aliens began working together, learning from each other, preparing for whatever the future might bring. A new beginning for two worlds that had once been strangers. The end.